The clean walls of St. Jude Hospital, even though there are thousands of faces, but nothing it was ignored like Audrey Hart. To the proud chief surgeon, Dr. Sterling, she was a housekeeper. Cleaning, a careless old worker, for there is nothing else to do except change and take the beds. Insult. He laughed at her silence. He mocked her for her trembling hands. The idea that the same hands were once held the life of Special Forces operators together in the burning Blackhawks Hindu Kush. He thought he had it all. Strength until the day the glass doors open, not by explosion, but by crushing, by the Navy Seahawks. It lands directly on the helipad. They didn't want a doctor. She called out to the nurse, "He's the only one." They were fired. The rain was hitting the slopes hard. Glass doors in the emergency room in St. Jude Medical Center, rhythm center, the drum that usually calms Audrey Hart. But tonight it sank. Getting out of Doctor's sharp and penetrating voice. Gregory Sterling. "Hart, for God's sake, are you crying? The floor or the masterpiece?" Sterling's voice was heard. "Nurses station, 2 young people involved. The residents will laugh at them." Scoreboard. "We're in for a terrible situation. 10 minutes. Try to make the floor smaller. Isn't it a deadly trap?" Audrey, she didn't raise her head. She kept her eyes closed. Focused on the scratch-marked linoleum, holding on to the mop handle strong enough to turn it around white knuckles. "Yes, doctor," she said in a soft voice. Without emotion. "Unbelievable," Sterling muttered very loudly. Hearing everything. When Brenda returns, the head nurse who worked above this personal motivation as a doctor, "He sends me to be protected by manpower. It increases when you take damage. Specialists. One day she will be 40 years old. She moves as if she is underwater." Brenda laughed in a shrill voice. Audrey's feelings were getting worse. She was the only one. "Slow down, Dr. Sterling. Some people aren't designed for first-level damage. Speed in the middle. Maybe it would be better if she went in. Canteen." Audrey squeezed it with a yellow mop. "Bucket. The dirty water is dark and cloudy, like her memories, though." She kept it locked behind her. The iron door was in her mind. She was not slow. It was done intentionally. Every move she made was calculated. To save energy. A deep-rooted habit. A 72-hour shift in dusty fields, hospitals where activity is a waste of time, lost seconds, and lost seconds mean he is dead. But here in the untouched, the world of the fluorescent city medicine, the economy of movement because of fatigue, she was silent. It is mistakenly confused with stupidity. Take the bucket and go. Utility closet, beyond sharing the horror, where Sterling cried for a home house. He was a tall man, attractive in a superficial way, from the jawline that is clearly visible in the mirror every morning. He was brilliant. The surgeon, technically, but the ego took up more space in the room than it had. Die in fashion. Listen. Sterling taught and made a mark, a scalp that has never been used before. In a terrible state, you are the gods. You decide who lives and who dies. You will not die. You will not hesitate. He leaves work. Unlike some employees, trembling when hearing a falling tray. He looked at me with mockery. The closet where Audrey kept his clothes. He had previously heard the sound of a metal plate. The floor, and Audrey instinctively he fell down to the place where he prostrated himself, and perimeter. Reflex, it was a form of PTSD. She couldn't kill. For them, he looked like a scared rabbit. Audrey het die kas laat en haar hand just gastric. She went for dark blue cotton. The patient's file cabinet, hoping to find it. Easy to treat dehydration or fever, something far from her orbita and sterlite. Oops, Brenda, stop, continue. Dr. Sterling wants his coffee, black, 2 sugars and 4 with cheese. The drunk boy vomited again. Clean it up. Audrey looked at Brendan. The woman. He was young, maybe 30 years old, he was perfect. Makeup that never smudges in any way during a 12-hour work shift. I'm a registered nurse, Brenda, I'm not. Cleaning. The cleaning staff is at work. Stop, but I can call. I'm responsible. Nurse, Brenda said with a smile, in a soft voice, I'll tell you to clean up. Bed 4. Unless you want me to write to you. To not be disobedient again, I am sure. The council wants to hear how the new one is doing. The mercenary refuses direct orders. Audrey held Brendan's gaze for a second. In that second, a flash of something it seemed cold and dangerous in Audrey's house. Eyes. The face of a woman who once was. He looked at a military commander during the negotiation. Tent in Kandahar. Brenda closed her eyes and took a half step back. I suddenly felt anxious without knowing why. Then the mask was put back in place. Audrey lowered her eyes. I'm careful. Hers. Okay, Brenda said in a shaky voice. Just before she returned, calm down. And hurry up. Multi-purpose car. The meeting is about 5 minutes away, according to Audrey. She went to the 4th bed and looked at it. Watch. It was an old and torn G-Shock, completely different from Apple Watches the other nurses put on her clothes and held her face. After 5 minutes. She realized what it was. She wanted to say. She could feel the difference. Air pressure, static electricity chaos was already there. She felt it inside. Fallujah, in Syria, it was not on the official maps. She stretched the curtain around the 4-poster bed. The patient, an elderly homeless man, it's called Silas, and most of the workers, he ignored it and raised his head in confusion. Excuse me, my dear, he whispered softly, wiping his mouth. I'm sick as a dog. It's okay, Silas. Audrey spoke softly, her voice changing. If you use it immediately, the monotony, a warm and soothing voice with the staff. Clears her throat, she did a great job. Cleaning it, checking its vital signs, and by adjusting the speed of the 4th flow, which someone is very high. You are. Dehydration. This is why nausea occurs. It's hitting you. I'm slowing down the flow of water. You will feel better soon. Okay, Silas muttered, rolling his eyes. Conclusion, better than a noisy child. The white coat scares me. You're scaring yourself. Silas, Audrey. He pulls the blanket towards you and whispers. Ken. Rest now. Just like the red lights above the curtains, the gates of the desert began to light up. Ambulance, the gates of the desert opened and a strong wind blew. Wind and rain. Showtime, people. Sterling shouted and clapped. Let's see if we can save some lives. Despite the support staff disability. Audrey was standing invisibly by the wall. Wait. She knows it's not just the storm. Outside. He was moving around. Doors. The emergency room was under control. Chaos. 3 mobile ships entered. At the same time, they were being monitored by paramedics. I'm wet and tired. Many vehicles. There was an accident on I-95, the chief medical examiner said. We have a 45-year-old man, he shouted. Uncontrolled driver, accidental knee injury on the chest. 20-year-old woman passengers, serious injuries and possible internal bleeding in the baby. As the years go by, vital cells diminish without you even realizing it. I'll pick up the driver in Zone 1. Sterling. He shouted and ran forward. Resnick, you take the girl to the second breast. Take her inside. Breastfed baby 3 and call the pediatrician. Tell him to come here yesterday. The room became a hive of screaming sounds, Velcro tearing and sharp alerts heart monitors. Audrey moved to help Resnick in Bay 2, but Brenda shrugged. It's not their hearts. We need blood and blood. Saline solution in a bowl 1. Be a runner. Don't affecting patients. Audrey didn't argue. The chambermaid took a handful of salt water, bags and a pillow of pain, and ran in the Bay 1. Sterling shouted orders at an incredible speed, blood pressure drops dramatically. Pneumothorax is a concern. I need it. Now a 14-gauge needle. Audrey gave the needle to a resident. The one who is confused by anxiety. The needle rattled on the floor. Stupid. Sterling shouted. Take another one. 1. The resident froze. The patient was the table turned blue, the air duct he turned left. He had seconds. Before the heart beats, the pressure in his chest is building. Audrey. He saw the resident's hands shaking. I couldn't open the new packaging. The injection was quick. Sterling was busy. I tried to boil it but I couldn't. Audrey walked away without thinking. Inside. It was muscle memory. A perfect intuition gained from 10 years of perseverance soldiers living on Earth. She didn't. They took the needle that was in the resident. She is struggling with him. She caught him. The bag in which she carried her injuries, scissors and extra compression needles, a habit that cannot be broken. In a single liquid after making her move, she went to the patient's side. Right side, second hit from the midclavicular to the intercostal space. The thread and needle are stuck inside. Sharp. The hissing sound of the escaping air created the little boy. Breast silence. The patient's chest. Pink. The color began to return to its original state. Immediately face to face. Control the panic. The sound slowed down to a steady pace. Audrey taped the catheter and he turned back, his face blank. Silence. The absolute silence of amazement. Resident, she looked at him intently. Brenda looked at him intently. She opened her mouth. Slowly, Dr. Sterling, he looked up from the intubation, which goes into the needle and comes out the patient's chest. Then he looked Audrey. His face has a hint. Purple discoloration on the wound patient. What did you do? Sterling whispered. His voice trembled with anger. Conflict. Dr. Audrey spoke calmly. The resident was in danger. Tension. Pneumonia has been relieved. The amount increases by 94. You, Sterling, are left behind. They tore up the table, and the gloves. You are nurse. You are a nurse for the elderly. You are don't perform invasive procedures on me. Air. You could have killed him. I saved him. That, Audrey said, lifting her chin. A little. It would have been caught in 10 minutes. Seconds. I don't care if you're back. Water in wine, Sterling exclaimed. She is entering her personal space. Standing on top of it, using his height fear. You don't have permission for this. The process in this structure. This attack. This is abuse. You, responsibility. Dr. Sterling, the patient is stable. The opponent shouted from the other side, try to calm the situation. Resnick, shut up, Sterling is back again. Audrey. Get out. Audrey closed her eyes, Doctor. Get out. Sterling too. Automatic doors. They were fired. Immediately. Take your things and go down. Before I entered security, I went downstairs. Get out. You'll never work. I returned to a hospital in this state. It's a trap. The entire emergency room was watching. Paramedics, other nurses, patients who were awake. Audrey looked around. She noticed compassion in her. Some eyes, with Brenda's delight. He felt a familiar weight on his chest, the weight of injustice, however, as he swallowed something worse than a man's ego. Civilian doctor. She took out her ID card. License plate number. Okay, she said in a soft voice. And she placed the license plate on its side on the metal baking sheet. In a biohazard container. Good luck with that. Change, she said, turning and leaving. A walk of shame. Clear's throat, I felt Sterling's eyes piercing him. Her back. And don't expect a referral, Sterling said. She shouted from behind her. Audrey stepped forward. Reception room doors, the cold air hit her face. She walked. Beyond confused families, and beyond the security guard shook his head. She stood outside on a rainy night. Under the roof of the hospital introduction, the rain that waters the end, she grabbed her cleaning pants. Car keys bag. Her hands. Finally, now your adrenaline is flowing. She was fading away. She was unemployed. She tried to survive, to pay the rent. A normal life, a quiet life, and she has it too. Failure. She thought maybe I was upset. Maybe I was. You don't belong here. You were about to take a step. To the parking lot in the rain. When the sound subsided, he began. Like a low vibration, like a vibration on your shoe. Her shoes. Then one shoe. A rhythmic beat behind her are the hospital windows. It became louder, louder, a familiar voice. Better than her heartbeat. Rotors, but it wasn't a regular medical flight. A helicopter arrived with trauma patients. The medical room looked like a lawnmower, he complained loudly and loudly. This voice, it was a harsh, aggressive tone. Raw horsepower and military-grade turbine engines. Audrey looked sideways. Storms that bring rain with searchlights that illuminate a wide area. The black figure descended. It was not on the road. For the helipad on the roof. Come to the center. Hospital parking lot, cars destroyed. The ban is reduced and waste is sent. It was flying. It was a Sikorsky MH-60. Seahawk. Dark gray color. No medical signs. The wind from the rotors is about to blow. Audrey came in. She covered her eyes. On the gravel. Side door. The helicopter skidded in front of the wheels. He even touched the asphalt. Hospital, emergency personnel to windows. Sterling, Brenda and the residents clapped their hands. Hug the mirror and look inside. Confusion. What is this? Brenda asked, her voice was high-pitched with shock. Is that it? Danger. No, Sterling said, frowning. It's Marina. Two people jumped up. From the helicopter. They were wearing it. Fully tactically equipped, with multiple cameras, uniforms, chefs of Sakban, communication headset. Not doctors, soldiers rushed to the emergency room. Entrance, ignore the security guard. He was rolling behind a pillar. Audrey. She stood her ground. She said, walking. She understood the urgency. Frontline soldier, tall man, a thick beard and a master's degree sergeant, visible in the stain on his chest, without. She stayed under the tent. He stopped 10 meters away. He looked. He looked at her wet clothes. A tired face. "Audrey," the soldier shouted. About the sound of rotors. "Audrey Hart." Audrey straightened her posture, immediately transfer the dismissed nurse to another location. To something completely different. "Sergeant Miller." The soldier ran towards him. She, out of breath, said, "Thank God we found you. We have traced your phone." Hospital. The doors opened behind Audrey. Sterling Brendan ran, following him. "Security." "Hey," Sterling shouted, trying to turn around. "Authority over a chaotic situation. I can't put that thing here. It private property. I call it that." "Police." They didn't even make it to Sergeant Major. He looked at Sterling. He kept his eyes open. "You are trapped in Audrey. We need you," the sergeant said in a desperate voice. This colonel. He was badly beaten. Soldier. Doctors in the field cannot calm him down. He asks about spirits. He asks about him. You. Sterling is cold. Ghost. Audrey. He looked at the sergeant and then at helicopter. "I'm not at work anymore, Miller. I am a citizen. I simply shot." The sergeant approached. "Audrey, dis Ripper. Dis Sullivan. Hey." He did 3 rounds in one workout. Wrong. It could be an hour. Let another man touch it. And he said, "Go. Let me bleed, my heart or my blood. Audrey to keep my heart." Sullivan, what did that man have? He pulled me out of the burning convoy. Aleppo, the man who deserves everything. She looked back at Sterling. The doctor, it seemed small now, worthless. "I need a flight suit," said Audrey, her a voice that cuts through the noise blade. "For the bird," said Miller. "Let go." Audrey took a step, then stopped. He slowly turned to Dr. Sterling. The rain was pouring from his nose. He looked. Fear of soldiers' helicopter and suddenly from him. "Dr. Sterling," Audrey said in a clear voice. "You were right about one thing." "What?" Sterling stammered. "I shouldn't be here. Your hospital." She turned and ran. To the helicopter. Interior. The sound of the MH-60 Seahawk was deafening, a world of iron and shadow, a world without Audrey Hart 5 years. When the helicopter crashed, may it be sharp and the city be bright. It is much less than the transfer in the hospital. Her weakness was almost physical. Accepted to appear non-threatening, the hospital administration disappeared. Her back is straight, her eyes are normal. He fell down to avoid facing the front. Brenda or Dr. Sterling, they have it now. A nest that is vigilantly guarding against predators. Sergeant Miller gave her an earpiece. She threw it at her ear, the sound of screaming. The rotors returned to a dull sound. Communication cycle. "Sitrep Miller," Audrey said. Her voice came over the intercom. It was undetectable from the software. The fired nurse. Giving tough orders and taking everything good stuff. Colonel Sullivan. Do practical exercises near SAS partner room beach. Miller explained the sound. It was hardened by suppressed shock. Real fire. Training. Something went wrong. It's back. Or a garbage fire. We don't know yet. But 1.56 bullet entered the lower abdomen, cut out the rectangular pelvic bone and fragments. He found bomb fragments nearby. Spine and vital internal organs bleeding. Audrey closed her eyes briefly. Second, an anatomical image. Who works for him? We have a field doctor, Corporal Jenkins. He's okay, but he's 22 and he's shaking. Sullivan refused to send medevac to Virginia. Miller said and paused, looking at Audrey. With a mixture of respect and fear. He said, search for the spirit. If I go away, I'm dying, I want her to be the one telling me. The time has come. He will not die. Audrey said, it's not hope, I have an assignment. Miller said after a bag tied to a cargo net, close-up view her legs. We took your old equipment from us. The storage room they allowed us and a flight suit. Can you wear it? Audrey didn't believe her. Humility. Luxury for civilians. In bright red light cabin, she removed the contaminated car. The blue suits that represent him a time of humiliation during the months of St. Jude. They threw them into a corner like in a barn. Cool. Clears throat, she is wearing an olive-colored armband. I roll it up and zip it up to the neck. He tied her technical shoes. Back to Miller, Audrey Hart, the nurse was missing. A lieutenant was sitting in her place. Red Commander. Audrey Hart, the spirit of the exclamation mark, the famous trauma specialist rewriting field guidelines on injuries ensure resurrection in the dark days of the Desert Wars. She asked for an ETA after 6 minutes. We found it. They took him to the Naval Air Station. A wounded casualty unit in Hangar 4, but local surgeons are retiring. Sullivan threatened to shoot anyone. You touched it before you got there. Audrey. He gave a short, dry laugh. Like him. Clears throat, stubborn boy. Mule. She opened Miller's medical kit. Her hands, Dr. Sterling was mocked for being unstable, moving with fluidity and terrifying precision. She looked at the larynx, the scalp. Let me, the heat will help. Everything. It was where I left it 5 years ago. How severe is the bleeding? She asked. Classmate 3. Blood pressure is 80/50. Heart degree 130. He is active, but not very active. Blow the trumpet to the workers on Earth. Audrey ordered. I need 40 units. Negatively warm and ready. I want set up the cell saver and tell them to do it. Clear the room of anyone who is not there. They have a star on their shoulder or scalpel in hand. I don't want it. Audience. Imagine you're a ghost, Miller said, smiling. I'm punching him in the chin. Oh my God, this is. I'm glad to be back again. Audrey looked outside. Backworth. It was raining. Against the glass that dims the lights, that airport that was approaching. Below it I can see the lights turning on. A convoy is waiting on a paved road. She was a housekeeper for months. Cleaning. She scolded Dr. Sterling. Brenda let her go with her. The worst actions. She did them because she was her. She thought she wanted peace. She thought. She wanted to leave the blood and a sound from behind. But like a helicopter. He began his fierce battle, it burns brightly and falls quickly. Audrey realized the truth. She didn't want peace. She wanted to be useful. And for the first time in a long time, she felt the spark of electricity inside her. They are hers. The wheels hit the concrete. The side door opened immediately. Go, go, go. Miller shouted. Audrey jumped in. Running through the rain, running to the people waiting for him. The ambulance that takes them to the Hangar 4. She didn't look back at the city. I hadn't thought about St. Jude, about that life. It's done. The mission has begun. The scene of the tragedy in Hangar 4 was terrifying. Contrast with the shiny white surfaces from St. Jude. This was industrial. It smells like jet fuel and pesticides. The lamp is a sharp halogen. Iron beams. In the middle of the room, a look of fear, military doctors and a frightened citizen, the doctor who came basic clinic, Colonel James Ripper Sullivan. He was a great man, a mountain. Due to muscles and injuries, this was found he was sweating profusely. He was out of breath. Superficial and quick. Audrey exploded. Double doors. Miller after a while she. The room is quiet. The civilian. The doctor, a man named Dr. Eris, traveled on foot. Future. Who are you? We need a vein. It's none other than a surgeon. Be patient, Audrey said. She didn't scream. She doesn't need it either. Her voice was heard. The weight of absolute power. I went straight to the living room. Sullivan's eyes were half closed, but a small smile caught his attention when he saw her. The corner of his mouth. It took you a long time. Enough, he said in a distressed tone. It's very sad. Let's take out the trash first, said Audrey. He said and grabbed her wrist. Radial pulse. Tried, he wasn't much. There. Sounds like hell, Jim. I can feel it. I love it, he groaned. Audrey looked up. Room. I need an urgent ultrasound. Now. Jenkins, shut that blood. Seal the bag. Seal it inside. Eris, you are in a breathing tube. If you stop breathing, you can put it in a tube. Don't break it. Dr. Eris groans. Now listen here. I am the controller. The physician accordingly, and I am the person who will hold that Aaliyah. Audrey shivered, she didn't see him at all. When you cut Sullivan's uniform trauma scissors. If you want to compare lines, we can do it later. Now if you don't secure the airway, I will. Sergeant Miller, take it from him. This part. In person Miller, he is walking to the doctor, holding his hand. In his hand. Dr. Eris swallowed hard. And moves to the head of the bed, grab the ambulance. Audrey paid attention. More than just a wound, it was ugly. The entrance, the wound was above the right iliac crest. The upper part. The exit was broken. There was no exit. He is wounded. The bullet is still inside him, Audrey grumbled. Miller examined her. Hold the ultrasound wand and push it. On Sullivan's stomach. The screen lit up and came to life. Black liquid, he filled his stomach. That's it. Internal bleeding, she announced. The fragment severed the iliac joint. Blood vessel. We don't have time for a scan. We have to open it. Now here it is. Here it is. Dr. Eris posted on his Twitter page. This is not innocent. Surgical room. Risk of infection. The infection won't kill him, because he will die within 3 minutes. Bleeding. Audrey shouted. Scalpel. Young doctor. He squeezed his head in his hand. Jim. Audrey leaned close to Sullivan's ear. I have to leave you. Ketamine and propranolol. You go. Wake up in pain, but you will wake up. Up. Do you trust me? He looked at Sullivan. She, clearing her eyes for a while. With the soul of my life, all the time, push the meds, Audrey ordered. As Sullivan's eyes closed, Audrey he took a deep breath. It blocked out the sound of the rain. The roof of the pelvis. She smelled of gasoline. The body part under the skin. Midline surgery, laparotomy extending from the xiphoid to the pubis. The blood immediately filled, darkened, and she was angry. "It's very sad," she ordered. "More circle. Hold. Hold." Her hands moved. She was in a fog. Stomach, her fingers work. Blindly in a pool of blood find the source. She felt herself breaking inside. The artery was convoluted, throbbing. Weak. "I'm bleeding," she said. "Venous clamp," he said in a calm voice. She squeezed her blood vessel. "The blood flow has stopped." The monitors who shouted in a low voice. "The warning is fading. The pressure is fading." "Calm down," Jenkins shouted. "There's 90 left." 60, okay, Audrey sighed. "Now, hard. Room. I need to sew. The fragment is attached to the lumbar spine. Beads. If I move the wrong way, it paralyzes." For the next hour, the host was silent, except for this. The sounds of music coming from the monitor and Audrey's silent commands. 50 proline pulling pliers. She worked with a grocery store that was testing this. Local cruelty. It cuts the tissue around the blood vessel, remove the broken piece of metal. It is dangerous on the nerve root and the associated blood vessel wall. It was a possible surgery. Difficulties during surgery at Mayo Clinic. A room with a full team. Audrey was busy. On the hangar on the field set. "Sewing, it's full," she whispered. "Leave it. Now hold on tight." She released the iron from her hand. "Clamp." She looked. There was no blood. "The pulse in the artery was strong and the flow is back," she said. "It's turning pink." Collective sigh. He walked across the room. Sergeant Miller. He leaned against the wall and wiped his sweat. On the forehead. Even Dr. Eris. She looked at him with wide, surprised eyes. Eris stammered. "I've never seen a repair. So. Speed, technique." Audrey didn't answer. She started to close the door. The stomach, the clean seam and prepare efficiently. Prepare for transportation. Once Walter Reed was calm, he said and finally stepped back. She took off her bloody gloves. "But he is risk-free." She went to the metal sink. He started rubbing his hands in the corner and wings. The water turns red. She looked. For yourself on polished metal reflection. Her hair was messy, her face was messy. Sweat and stains. Anxiety. Sullivan has blood on her cheek. Tired, but feels alive. "Madam," she turned around. It was Sergeant Miller. He was holding a satellite phone in his hand. "General Holloway from the Pentagon. He wants a status report and he wants it. I know why you like it. Cleaning in a civil hospital." Audrey. He dried his hands on a paper towel. A cold, cruel look appeared in her eyes. She said, "Give me the phone." Miller said, "Yes." Ghost, rearranged the helicopter. "As soon as I spoke with the general, I immediately had some things in mind. Unfinished business that deserves attention." At St. Jude, Miller asked, the sense of familiarity that was read on his face. "Back to St. Jude's," Audrey confirmed. "Dr. Sterling. I fired a nurse tonight. I think it's time." He met with the commander. St. Jude Hospital was in a van. Fall. It's been 2 hours since then. The black helicopter took off. Incompetent and mysterious nurse. There were soldiers with him. The rain stopped, but the atmosphere in the emergency room. Confusion and fear are sad. Dr. Sterling was pacing back and forth in the nurse's chair. We are trying to show a spirit of authority, but his hands were shaking. Clear's throat. He was busy doing field work. A call from the hospital director, over the past 90 years, local police and military forces minutes. I'll tell you, I don't know. Who were they? Sterling shouted. I called, his face red. They destroyed 3 cars. They took over the parking lot. A member of staff. He tapped the receiver. He was sitting at the table inside, while browsing my phone, her pale face. Dr. Sterling, he whispered. You have to see. No. Now, inside, I have to find a way. I was explaining this to the board. Greg, look. She threw the phone in his face. TikTok video. Recorded a teenager in the waiting room through the glass doors. He read, what is it? Marines stormed the hospital to rescue the nurse. The video was shaky, but the image was very shaky. Clearly. The helicopter showed the landing, the giant soldier is being thrown, and interaction with Audrey. Shown. Sterling looks small and is screaming. Powerless next to the great Lord Sergeant. But that was the most disgusting part. The voice. The boy was close. Enough for the door sergeant's call. Reaper. He is. He asks about the spirits. He asks about it. You. The video already has 2.4 million views. Point of view. Brenda said read the comments, the voice trembled. Sterling looked intently. Scrolling text. User 77. Ofk. Is this Audrey Hart? My father served with her in Kabul. She's not a nurse. She's a legend. Navy veteran. SL-01 Spirit. It is the angel of Gol Korarin. She saved my entire army in 2018. Who is that stupid doctor yelling at her? Veterinary life. Ya Dr. Gregory Sterling be St. Jude. He is mature. You don't know. The winner of the Navy Cross is despised. Navy Cross. Sterling whispered his blood. This is moving away from them. It's impossible. It's temporary. This morning, a tray of tools. She is. She was pretending to do it, Brenda said. She understood her fear. Cooperation. She remained hidden, and we make it like mud. Suddenly, the emergency room's automatic doors opened, but there was no patient. 4 people in the dark. The packages arrived. Synchronized agility like a shark. Behind them was a man wearing a thin dark blue coat. Uniform, 2 stars shine on it. Shoulders. Rear Admiral Holloway. Emergency department. It's completely quiet. Even the patients are quiet. Stop crying. The Admiral scanned the room, taking in the view. Falling like a laser on Dr. Sterling applicant. He walked on his feet, which echoed. Linoleum. Dr. Gregory Sterling, Admiral, he asked. His voice was gentle, but it meant a great disaster. Yes, I am the surgeon. Sterling stuttered and rolled his eyes. White coat. If helicopter, I already have one. The complaint filed with the police was this. The fear of indifference to my purpose, I'm not here to drop the helicopter. Holloway interrupted calmly. The United States. The state Navy will pay compensation for the damage. In your parking lot. He walked closer, invading Sterling's personal space. I hears to the Commander-in-Chief. Audrey Hart. Sterling swallowed. She was fired from her job due to a physical injury. An unauthorized operation has been performed. Incompetence. Holloway repeated the word. As if tasting something rotten. They've investigated one of the charges. Agent Vance, the band is playing. One of the men in the suit he carried a tablet. He showed security. Bay 1 views taken a few hours ago previously, the resident showed how cold it was. It showed that the patient died. And when? Audrey has shown that she can move quickly and efficiently, perfect, and insert that needle. He saved the man's life. We did it. Recording. Holloway said, manual needle thoracostomy was performed. In less than 3 seconds. The patient, Mr. D. John Doe, is your skin permanent on you. The intensive care unit thanked her and thanked her. If she had not taken action, he will die. Is this yours? Definition of physical disability, doctor. She had no rights, Sterling argued weakly. It's a burden. The woman who fired you, Holloway continued, ignoring forgiveness is one of the most necessary things. Decorated War Trauma Specialist's History of the Navy Medical Corps. She served on 4 tour trips and special joint trips. Operations. Navy Cross for heroism. She retired to take care of herself. She had a sick mother and wanted a quiet life. You wanted to serve your community. Holloway leaned forward a few inches from his face. Sterling SN. And instead of using her skills save a life, you made him wash the floors, and humiliated her because of her silence. Competence has threatened your weak ego. Look here, Sterling tried to speak in an inconsistent way. You can't talk to me like that. I'm running away. This sexual feeling, there's a new voice. Sterling turns. The doctor was standing behind the admiral. Pinter, the hospital director. He looked. He was very angry. Director Pinter, Sterling, tell these people to leave, he said with relief. Pack your things, Gregory, said Pinter. I saw the video. I saw it. Comment, donors phones the final hour cries out clearly, if you are afraid to spend money it wasn't the doctor who fired the war hero. Removed. You are blocked until you are blocked. Reviewed by the medical committee. Sterling looked around. The resident's Brenda looked at him. She climbed into her shoes. The security guard he smiles. You can't do this, Sterling. He whispered. It's done, said Pinter. Admiral. I was busy with military matters. Will she come back? This would be an honor. My boss, to re-establish by growing nurse, whatever you want. Holloway. He looked at the clock. She is currently in. This is the way back, not to work. Something behind and she wants to visit. Patient. Patient. Asked Pinter. A.Z. Silo Vance. Hi Alexoi isn't. File. She was a homeless veteran. She is careful when she is being expelled. She wants to ensure that the care plan is followed. Sterling felt a wave of nausea. A homeless man, a man he ordered. Night. She's coming back. Brenda screamed. Oh, yes. Holloway smiled, but he didn't smile. She brought his eyes. She brought them. The colonel insisted on meeting with him. The man who called his savior a maid. At that moment, the voice returned. Deep thunderous beat of rotors, glass the doors shook. She was back, and when she didn't come through the door service introduction. Return of the MH-60 The Seahawks were different this time. When at first it came down, it was an invasion, the shock of the silent regime, the hospital parking lot in the rain. Now, how? The rotors pull the air into the line, the voice sounded like judgment. In the emergency room, the atmosphere was exhausting. Dar. Gregory Sterling stood by the nurse's station, his face was a crumbling mask of arrogance. Adage iu hoc targa na Director Pinter, but it hasn't come out yet. He couldn't. His ego wouldn't allow this. He had to flee like a criminal. To get the last word. He had to try. That he was a victim of military aggression overreaction. The automatic doors opened quickly, but no one passed by there immediately. 2 Marines wearing blue uniforms arrived for the first time. It goes in with the right timing. A movement to hold the doors. Then the wheelchair was delivered. They sat in it. Colonel James Sullivan. He was pale, a vein running through the arm, and hot glue is visible underneath. His uniform jacket was unbuttoned, but his eyes were sharp and it took the room by weapon system strength. Procurement target, pushing a wheelchair was Audrey Hart. I hope she's here. Olive-colored flight suit, currently seen with the colonel's blood and fat necklace. She walked away with her head down. A tall, relaxed, yet ready stance. She didn't look like a maid dressed like that. No more. You looked like a warrior. Returned to the battlefield to collect. She died. Behind them, the opposite admiral was rolling. Holloway and the consequences of the lawsuit. The silence in the emergency room was perfect. The phones stopped ringing. Residents who often move in a hurry, the independent rabbit pushes trying to fall on the walls, those who do not see themselves. Audrey didn't look at Sterling. He didn't look at Brenda, who was shaking. After receiving it, they pushed the colonel straight ahead, and after 4 hours of sleep. Is he still here? Audrey asked, her voice breaking the silence. Yes, mother. Clear's throat, overcome with fear. The young nurse shouted. We haven't moved him. Audrey stopped the colonel's wheelchair. Next to the homeless man's bed, Silas was asleep. She looked at him slowly. Silas monitor. Heart rate. Stable. The collapse of the canvas. She made preparations hours before her life ended. It was turned over, and it did its job. Audrey Silas woke up and opened his red eyes. He looked at her flight suit. Do you feel different? Have you been away? Circus. Audrey smiled, a sincere and warm smile. A statement stating that no one is present at the hospital. What the workers saw. When he says something like this, I have my friend wanted to meet the man. Stay with me. Colonel Sullivan leaned forward. Forward on the chair, shaking a little. From stomach ache. He outstretched hand, reaching hand. Orders were given to send thousands of men fighting the homeless man. Mr. Silas, Sullivan shouted. Audrey. Tell me you were a captain. 1st Infantry Regiment, Vietnam 68. Silas' eyes opened. He sat up straight. He ignored the nausea and stood up straight. It seems like alcohol and disease are disappearing. He immediately looked at Sullivan's level, then with his trembling hand. Put it on the paper before you swing it. The colonel's hand. Yes, sir. K-San, but I wasn't called Cooper at one time. It's been a long time since we last met. I'm drunk now. Navy, nothing at all, Sullivan said. Company. And you have my business partner with me. Respect when people in this building. You have treated me like garbage. For this I have my gratitude and yours. United States warships. Sterling couldn't take it anymore. The stupidity of the scene, Colonel. He left his job after ignoring a drunken homeless man. The surgeon made the final cut. The thread of patience. That's it. Funny, Sterling shouted and left. In the future, Director Pinter tried to capture. He waved his hand, but Sterling waved it. This is a hospital, not a VFW hall. I don't care who you are or what kind of medals you have. She did it. She put me, a patient, in danger. A tragic situation. She violated protocol. Audrey slowly turned around. She left Silas' house. He walked over to Sterling by the bed. The space seems to be getting tight. Protocol. Audrey repeated, her voice dangerously. Silence. Protocol. Sterling spat, his face turning red. Think about why you chose a helicopter. Does that mean you are above the law? Nurse. You are dependent on the attending physician. This humiliate me. You've humiliated me before. My employees. I saved someone's life, Audrey said. Lyd is in the intensive care unit. He's alive. If it were me. If I had to wait, I would have followed your protocol. So that your residents can stop shaking, he would have died. Is your selfishness worth it? What if he were alive? Doctor, I would. He saved him. Sterling lied, his voice. He gets up with a shout. I am the best. In this case, you are a surgeon, and you a weary field doctor pondering a mosaic. It makes you scream on the ground. Doctor. You have no place here. Audrey. She stood 3 meters away from him. She looked at him. Up and down, her clinical perspective cutting. You're right, Gregory, she said, just as his first name for the first time. This I hit him. I didn't have it. This place is ruined, so put it here. You treat the workers like servants. It treats patients like numbers. You treat them. Poor people love dirt, and she goes to Colonel, come on, Admiral. Admiral. Holloway has just informed me of this. The Navy is looking to create a new project, civil-military partnership for disaster relief training, special center for they require complex polytrauma. Director, Sterling was joking. Guess what, they will give it to you. You are nurse. As a matter of fact, Admiral Holloway. His voice broke softly and coldly. The position requires a medical degree, that's why we were so surprised then. We took out Lieutenant Commander Hart. File. She retired not only as a terrible situation nurse, Dr. Sterling. Holloway. He removed the document from the file folder. Marina paid her expenses after her 3rd visit. She completed her education at medical school. She graduated with a degree in higher education. Cajun's Hopkins class. She is a dual board certified trauma specialist. Surgeon. She chose to work as a nurse. It's because he wants to be here. By the bed. She wanted to take care of him. Patients do not play the role of God. The silence that followed was heavy. It's enough to crush the bone. Sterling's mouth it opened, but no sound came out. He looked. To Audrey. He looked at the document. You're a doctor, Brenda whispered from within. At the table, her face was scared. It's me, Audrey said softly. But it's me. The first nurse. And I'm proud of that. He is. It's a shame you're not here. Audrey is back. To Sterling. The Navy is withdrawing its funds from St. Petersburg. Gregory of Judah. A special emotional trauma. The center to University Hospital in the city, and he manages it. She took a step closer, raising her voice. Sterling falls into a whisper that is only I could hear it. And I'll give them each a name. You're annoying, single nurse. I'm leaving. To name the residents who cried out, and I'll leave you here. Your empty kingdom, where no one can blame you but yourself. Sterling returned with difficulty wall. He looked around for support, but he found nothing. Its inhabitants. Audrey looked at him with admiration. Pinter, the hospital director, was already in it. Phone, probably busy with damage control. Get out of here. Here. Pinter shouted angrily at the security forces. The guards pointed at Sterling. You can't do it, Sterling shouted. The guards took up their weapons. I am of St. Jude. I am this hospital. I will not be any more. Audrey said. She wasn't looking at him either. They pulled her away. She turned to Selah. Mr. Silas, she said in a soft voice. How are you? Do you like a private room and a hot meal? The VA will wait for you on the bed. New center. Silas called. He picked up the phone. His face is covered with rough hands and groans. Thank you, Spirit. Audrey won. Shoulder. Then she looked. Colonel. Jim, let's go home. Come on. It was fast and furious. That's exactly what it was. Karma, who loves the internet. Their story in 48 hours. Who was the mysterious surgeon? Around the world. The TikTok video was made simply. Flash. Full security release. The footage was edited by the Navy to prevent it. Clearly shows the patient's privacy, but Audrey's bravery and Sterling's bravery. The incompetence has sparked a wave of anger. Dr. Gregory Sterling is not only his own work, medical board immediate investigation into the matter. Dozens of former staff members have come. Has a history of violence, negligence and toxic behavior. He was accused by patient's family. This patient 3 years lost due to surgical error before. In to find new evidence in this case. Calmness. He has lost his will, his name and his expensive apartment. The last time I heard about him, he was like a consultant at an insurance company. Different countries, review the documents in a windowless hut. St. Jude. The hospital had a great time. Restructuring. Director Pinter was forced to retire early. The culture of the emergency room changed overnight, but it was too late to save their lives. Review. Funding has already been transferred. Ribbon cutting after 3 months. Hart-Sullivan Center ceremony. The study on trauma treatment was conducted in 2011. University Hospital. It was beautiful. Spring day. That was the thing. Modern technology, designed with resources. War doctors and veteran nurses. Efficiency, team and above all, respect for every member staff. Audrey stands on the stage. She wasn't wearing a flight suit. Wool. She was wearing a simple white coat. There was an inscription under her name. Audrey Hart, MDRN, Director of Trauma Surgery. She looked. In front of the crowd. Sitting in the front row. Colonel Sullivan is now fully recovered. Even though he returned to work, he flew just for this. He sat next to him. Sergeant Miller, he seems uncomfortable. One in uniform. One on Miller's side. An unidentified person sits, clean, well-dressed, and with a stick. Silas. He did as he was told. The center's new patient liaison officer, who will help explore veterans' healthcare system. He looks under 10 years old. Audrey adjusted the microphone. Hate speech. She chose action, but she knows this needs to be said. They called me nurse, said Audrey. Her voice became louder than before. Yard, like an insult. If you are caring for the sick, cleaning with wounds and hand-holding death is less work. She stopped. Look at the level of nurses there. Rented from St. Jude. And she was not among them. She stopped breastfeeding. Absolutely, but most of the young people, the affected residents and nurses. There was a ray under Sterling. Audrey continued. On the field, rang. It doesn't stop the bleeding. It doesn't stop the ego. The heart is filled with the only thing. It's about the person next to you. The only thing that matters is the mission. We are building this center by principle, no one is visible. From the surgeon to the cleaner, we are one team. The applause was polite at first, then raucous. Sullivan Bridge shouted. The mayor was very shocked. After the ceremony, Audrey entered the new emergency room. The sound of movement. It was a helicopter. Oil on the roof of the medevac shell on a crucial issue. Dr. Hart, young the resident, called out and ran to her. Traumatic condition 1, multisystem injury. We need you. Audrey felt that familiar change, decreased concentration, inner calm storm. I'm going, she said. She went to the hospital in terrible condition. She passed the supply closet and saw a young man. A young man who looks worried. They are struggling with the mop bucket. The wheel was stuck. He looked very scared. Someone was yelling at him. Audrey. He stopped. The resident waited, but she only lasts a second. He went to the young man. She stepped back as she approached him. Get up. On the left, Audrey said softly. She hit the leader effectively, and I clicked there. Use your hips. To turn you away, not behind you. I forgive you. Energy. The young man looked up, he was shocked. He saw the principal's badge. Thank you, doctor. He stammered. Audrey smiled. She thought about Sterling. She thought about the rain. The long way back to yourself. You are you. You're welcome, she said. And if anyone gives you have a problem, you tell them to come and see. She turned around and entered. On the brink of destruction, the doors were slammed shut. She was behind her. She was right there. The Audrey Hart story is powerful. A reminder that true strength often goes a long way. Still me. When Dr. Sterling seeks confirmation, Audrey through her voice and headlines, practical respect and humanity serves as an unspoken lesson. We look down on the people around us because the quietest person in the room can do it. Just be the one who holds the world together. Above all, karma didn't just punish them. He has exalted the proud. It ensures that awards can be given. It is an inheritance. If you enjoy it, a story of justice and heroism, please press the like button. It really helps the channel. Don't do it. I forgot to share this video with you. Friends, and subscribe for more power stories and real lives of military heroes. Karma. Leave a comment below for Team Audrey. If you think nurses are real heroes.